Hey, welcome. So today we're going to dig into a really specific line of reasoning behind the practice of hijab. We're not trying to cover every single angle here. Instead, we're going to break down the internal logic of one particular argument, step by step, straight from the source material. All right, let's get into it. So, this is the big question, right? Everything we're about to look at is designed to answer this one central thing. From this specific viewpoint, why is hijab, the practice of modest dress, seen as absolutely necessary for women? And here's the answer, right at the heart of it all. The main purpose of hijab is seen as a tool, a mechanism, to protect the family. But as we're about to see, that's really just the first domino to fall in a much longer chain reaction. Okay, so why this intense focus on the family unit? Well, according to this argument, stable families aren't actually the final goal. They're seen as the critical building blocks for something way bigger, a peaceful society. And what's the point of a peaceful society then? It's all about creating an environment where people can actually focus. The idea is that when you get rid of all the social chaos and distraction, individuals are finally free to work on their own spiritual growth and, reach their highest potential. So here it is, the whole logical chain laid out for us. You can see how it's supposed to flow, one step leading right into the next. Hijab is meant to create a stable family. Stable families build a peaceful society. And that peace is what makes spiritual growth possible. Now, let's really dig into how each of these links is supposed to work. All right, let's zoom in on that very first connection. What is the specific way that hijab is meant to lead to a stable family? The whole reasoning kicks off with a claim about, basic human nature. The source suggests that when men and women interact, it's just natural for emotional connections and attachments to start forming. So you can almost think of it like a protective shield. The argument is that hijab acts as a kind of boundary. It helps make sure that all that powerful, emotional, and romantic energy is channeled inward, staying inside the marriage. It's designed to stop those outside attachments from forming, which could weaken the primary bond, and by doing that, it strengthens the very foundation of the family. So what about the flip side? To really get the argument, we have to look at what this perspective says happens when that family unit starts to fall apart. And wow, this visual makes the contrast so clear. On one side, you have the society that this argument connects to hijab, strong families, stability. But on the other, you see what happens when those family units get weaker. In this view, that leads straight to a rise in divorce rates. And get this, to back this up, the source makes a pretty striking claim. It suggests that in some cities, up to half of all couples are either legally divorced or they're in what's called an emotional divorce, meaning they might still be married on paper, but that emotional connection, it's just gone. And according to this view, this isn't just a private issue between two people. No. It's argued that this breakdown of the family is the direct cause of two massive social problems that spill out and affect everybody. First up, the impact on the next generation. The argument goes that children from broken homes are much more likely to face some pretty significant emotional and financial hurdles. And then the source connects that instability to a bigger societal problem, a rise in the overall crime rate. The second problem zeroes in specifically on women. This perspective highlights that after divorce, women can be left in a really vulnerable position, dealing with both loneliness and serious financial pressure. And it's argued that this combination of factors, this vulnerability, can contribute to even more breakdown of social norms. Okay, so we've looked at all the individual pieces of the puzzle. Let's step back and put it all together one last time to see the complete interconnected logic of this argument. And here it is, the whole chain of cause and effect in one neat package. It all kicks off with hijab as the key to protecting a marriage. That protection leads to stable families. Those stable families build a peaceful society. And that peace is what ultimately allows people to reach the final goal, spiritual growth. So there you have it. That's the complete argument from start to finish. We've just walked through one very specific structured philosophy. But it's worth ending on a question that the source itself brings up. In this whole complex web of cause and effect, is hijab seen as the only important factor, or is it just one piece of a much larger puzzle? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.